Greetings, everyone. How is it going? This is the Go Along podcast. I'm Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis, and originally we were planning on maybe not doing a podcast, but consuming this Bills Patriots game at Hamburg Brewing Company. So sorry we didn't get to see folks there live, but we're here now doing a podcast. And I guess if we did do it live there, Jim, our buddy Johnny Russo, he might have had to break out the moonshine, or I don't know, like whatever alcohol was consumed in the 30s and the 40s to really do that game justice, because I mean, that was an embarrassment. I don't really know what else to call it. It was an abomination. It set the game back. If you're the Buffalo Bills and you're playing professional football, and you know the team across the line of scrimmage is going to run the football every single time. I mean, Mac Jones, for those who have been under a rock the last 24 to 48 hours, threw 3 passes. They ran the ball 46 times for 225 yards. Well, we're not going to count those Mac Jones kneel down. So, yeah, it was a beatdown. Bill Belichick just reminding everyone he'll find a way with what he has. I think I know the answer to this, Jim, but is your takeaway more so Belichick, Patriots, they're still here, or what the hell is wrong with you, Buffalo, that you can't beat this team that's clearly running every play? I think a lot of people know where I stand. I mean, we wrote it a couple weeks ago that this is a soft team for many different reasons. I think we saw it there on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm with you a little bit. I'm speechless. You know, I bet on the Bills tonight. I thought this was a great spot for them to, you know, if they're a real team. We talk about football starts after Thanksgiving. It's time to get this thing in gear. Hey, you've been embarrassed by Jacksonville. You've been embarrassed against Tennessee or Indianapolis. Let's see what you got. This takes it to a whole other level. I'm sorry, but to not be able to have any clue how to, that was, I just can't believe what I just watched. I mean, they literally had no threat of stopping a pass, and they could not beat that team. I don't know what to say. Now, I do think the drop, there's some, you know, the Dawson Knox drops that those hurt. I mean, we can go back and evaluate that, but let's just talk about how do you not get off the field? How can you not stop the Patriots? How do you not figure that out? If you are Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier, I mean, come on. How much credit do they get for being incredible defensive minds? Trey White doesn't play. Who cares, right? Didn't need a secondary tonight. We could have played the secondary tonight. Like, they needed to stop the run. Now, I do think there were some horrible fits by the linebackers, confusion. I saw some, you know, replacing each other, not taking gaps and replacing each other. Number 53, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He a couple times I thought he took some bad fits, right, where he was following up Edmonds from behind and Milano, where I thought these may have been his plays to make. Poyer with the missed tackle that one time too. But
sorry, I want to Tyrell Dodson.
I was wrong. Sorry, I'm so angry right now. I just can't get over. That's the best the Bills can do on defense. They can't figure that. I mean, I think think if you're the Patriot coaches right now, that's a coach's win. I mean, that was a game plan. That was a plan. Hey, we know we're getting bad weather. Guess what? We're not even going to throw. Make them stop us. Trap after trap after trap after trap. I just can't get over.
There's a reason you don't see this in professional football, right? I mean, this doesn't work.
Tyler, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I mean, think about his one completion was a pathetic throw. I mean, it was a great catch by Jonnu Smith. I mean, I can't believe what we just watched. Now I want to get into that last red zone. That bothered me by Josh Allen. The drive down there is like, okay, this is why you pay him, right? Here we go. Josh, win the game. It's 14-10. Take us down the field. He's doing it. There's the run. He makes the big run that he does all the time. The back shoulder throw to Stephon Diggs should have been a touchdown on first down. That was a horrible.
You get the one-on-one.
That is Aaron Rodgers does that 50 times a game with his eyes closed. You've got to make that throw. The last play, completely whiffed on the read. Should have hit Beasley, forces it back the other post. Beasley was wide open. Now, the other play when he scrambled around, Diggs was wide open too, but that I don't want to kill him on that because maybe the pressure got to him too
plays
soon.
into that, finesse, being a finesse team. You can't hold up
Agreed
front.
again.
To give him that split second to find Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
He's the primary read on that play.
Oh, he was there. I mean, it was a great design. I mean, so I can't kill that. Those plays need to be complete. That back shoulder, that should have been a touchdown. That was a great route by Diggs. He was there. Just put it on him. I'm just in shock. I really was like, Josh will do this. This will make he'll put his stamp on, this is the game you'll remember forever. That crazy game when the Patriots didn't throw. We got the ball at the end. Josh takes us down the field and wins the game.
So when you're watching this game, Jim, and you're
go ahead.
And I mean, I only had one beer during the game. I'm surprised that the hop and stance was able to sustain me for the entire game. I'm guessing you had 4 or 5 to get through.
You know what? I slowed down because I was getting a little angry at the end, and then I was excited for this game tonight. I was really thinking this.
Yeah, I was jacked up for it too. I mean, this is one of the biggest regular season games in Bills history.
No question.
But there's a reason. I mean, going to these Thanksgiving dinners with family, and I work at Spot Coffee in Hamburg a lot. Like you can just feel it, and in those small talk conversations that you have with semi strangers and in public, and then with the people you love the most in life, it doesn't matter. Everybody was scared of this. The gloom, the doom, the here we go again. This is the team that's tormented the Bills for 2 decades. And you could see the bad matchups. I think the average fan could see the bad matchups across the board, that the Patriots are this violent, physical team. The Bills are not. If the Bills are going to win, they're going to have to throw it all over the place. As that game crept closer and closer and closer, everybody realized the weather was going to be shit at our house here in Boston, New York, not Massachusetts, Boston, New York. I mean, stuff was just flying all over the place. We've got a gutter drain, whatever you want to call it, downspout. It's like 15 feet long. It was in the middle of our yard, like 30, 40 yards away, twice. So you could just feel it building as the game got closer and closer. So yeah, I think that you're right. It was a big game, but it was almost like people were excited, but I think people were dreading it as well. They're excited because of that feeling of dread. And a question for you, right? Exactly. Like we've been here before. I mean, you ran the Bills with Doug Whaley, operating and overseeing that emotion with the fan base. I mean, everybody has been dying for a winner. They get one. The Super Bowl's the next step with this team. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. My question for you, when you sit down with Sean McDermott for that interview, I mean, we brought it up a few times. You get him the interview to be the head coach for the Buffalo Bills. You push for him to be hired, but you're sitting down with him. Do you think he ever imagined that in this spot, in a defining game for him, this is a defining game for Sean McDermott. It really is. You got to get past Bill Belichick. And in this game, with people like myself, it's not just me. A lot of people are writing this off. Not writing off, but labeling, I should say, this as a soft finesse team. And he's a defensive coach. Do you think he ever imagined in a million years that in this kind of game that his defense would just get ran over like it was?
No.
When you know what's coming and you can't stop it?
No. And how many times have we talked about this, though, this year? This isn't the first time. So, I think sometimes I was like, okay, they caught him off guard, whatever game it was. Every game, I feel like I'm talking about myself personally because I was a believer in this team. And I think I was making excuses for them, like, oh, you know what, tough one. It happens. This is enough. I mean, that was. Now, does McDermott turn around and say, we only gave up 14 points? Shouldn't we win any game with the greatest quarterback ever? And can't we score more than 14 points?
Right.
With the second highest paid quarterback in the league.
I mean, Dayball's an easy scapegoat. If the season goes off the rails, will he fire Dayball?
I don't think. I don't.
Maybe
see
he'll
that
just keep
happening.
benching Isaiah McKenzie, right? Like this.
Well, that
something with.
right. That was scapegoat one for sure. Then Singletary, Breda got benched tonight for Moss, which fine because Moss was running hard, but I'm just kind of in shock that to think that I just would love to be with the Patriots right now. I would love to know what Belichick and McDaniel. I wonder how hard they're laughing. Like I think you stay up all night and you can't stop laughing. Like we literally just won an NFL football game and didn't throw a pass. Like I don't even count the crap they threw. That was the Mannings. I was watching the Manning cast because I love it. They made a great point in the fourth quarter when he did throw those. That was a strange time for them to throw the ball.
Yeah,
It made no sense.
it did not.
That's when they wanted to work the clock. Keep the clock moving at that point. Like, I couldn't believe it. Didn't even make sense that they were throwing that.
Yeah.
So we didn't learn anything about Mac Jones. I was really hoping we could learn something about him. We learned nothing.
I mean,
About
maybe
him.
is he incapable of throwing the ball in those
I mean,
conditions?
he doesn't have a great arm, and we know that. But I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. That game plan was. Or I can't imagine it. Did it change where they were like, "Hey, just keep running it, don't worry about it."
I don't know. I mean, it's been a while, but when you're sitting down there with Sean, like with that interview, I imagine he's talking about his wrestling days. He's talking about being a badass. He's talking about punching teams in the mouth.
And
like,
it was and
what kind of stuff was he saying?
Belichick respects Sean. That was a big thing for Terry too. Terry received a call after that hire from Belichick. That made Terry feel good. Belichick paid attention to that hire because of Andy Reid. That whole Belichick respects Reid, so that goes way back. And I saw the way after the game, Belichick went to Josh Allen and had a little talk. Belichick doesn't do that often. He was saying some really nice things to Josh Allen. A lot of respect there. Obviously, they're going to see each other again soon. So I think Belichick respects the job Sean has done. He knows that's a good He knows the Bills are a really good football team. But he also just put them in their place. That had to feel really good. And Sean, you got to get ready for Tampa now. How do you get this out of your head? You're going to go down in history. This is historic. This is going to be talked about when the Bills lost at home to a team that didn't throw the football in this day and age. And I will say this, Josh seemed to throw the ball pretty well. His throws were pretty impressive. I text you a little bit. I'm like, this guy's amazing right now to make these throws in those conditions like that. He was throwing darts
until that last drive. He had a great game.
Well, and that's there. I said he wasn't the issue until they really needed him. And those last plays were very disappointing to me. You got to make those throws. So he has to own up to that too. You can't blame it all on, we couldn't stop the run. You got to make those throws. So it's a combination right now. And Josh has let them, I don't want to say he's let them down, but in the big games this year, the Tennessee, the Indianapolis,
he has. Look, you're paying him to rise up in that moment.
That's kind of what I'm saying. This is throw it all aside. That last drive this is why we have you. This is why, Josh, you are the guy. This is why we paid you. This is why the great ones do. I am kind of like, I'm pissed off. I'm shocked because I'm pissed at myself for thinking that, I don't know. I just really thought they were going to win that game tonight.
I'm really glad that you're honing in on that last drive because I think it's easy for fans to, and you can mold the take any way you want. You can talk yourself into Josh Allen having this great game given the conditions. Right. It was what 55 mile per hour winds. It's insane conditions. And
he had drop passes. Dawson Knox, that's got us. That record's broke with him. We've done that before with him. Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
You can definitely make that case. And up until that last drive, It's like, man, he's given all these factors. Like this is maybe one of the best games he's had this season against Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
But this is why you gave him that contract. This is why he's Josh Allen. And really, when I tried to wrap my head around this game, the last couple weeks, because they played the JV team for the Saints Thanksgiving week.
They did.
But it was
They
like this is a defensive front that isn't going to stop anybody, an offensive line that isn't going to push anybody around, a head coach that you don't know if he's going to be kicking field goals when he absolutely should not be kicking field goals, and vice versa.
The timeouts were
His
poor
game
tonight.
management is questionable. But you
Yeah,
had Josh Allen, right? You had this freak of a quarterback that could just take all of that, crinkle it up, and throw it out the window because he's that talented. And on that drive, if he makes one of those throws, that's what we're talking about right now. We're talking about, hey, the Bills had Josh Allen, the Patriots didn't. What a joke
really thought,
that they had an offense that threw the ball 3 times.
I was sitting there thinking, through the whole night, everybody's talking on this is embarrassing. I was thinking to myself, Bills are going to score, win this game, and the Patriots are going to go down as the team that was embarrassed. That you didn't even try to throw a pass in an NFL game and thought you could win. I thought it was going to get switched. Just like, this is Josh's moment. This is going to be it. Now you got to get ready for Tampa.
Man. And as we record this, Sean McDermott, the players are talking, and it doesn't really seem like they're saying much, right? It's kind of the same old line.
Yeah,
gonna get it fixed.
Yeah.
Gonna look at the tape.
Maybe,
we are a physical football team.
Yeah.
It's Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde aren't in the mood for any quote unquote disrespectful questions. They're getting trampled by 220 yards. Like, at some point, I think it starts with McDermott too. Like, messaging matters, taking charge matters. Like, I've heard, privately, he's the same guy you see publicly. I don't know. I get it. Maybe this isn't the movies. I know the fire and brimstone speeches. I'm not looking for that. But you want a little emotion. You want your head coach to bleed. You want them to be pissed off. I think fans have a right to be pissed off by not seeing the Bills pissed off after getting rolled over again.
I'm with you. Yeah, and you're all of a sudden this AFC is. I mean, it's completely. They're going to be fighting to make the playoffs right now. Did you notice how animated Sean was with the officials in the first half? How I couldn't tell. He was really arguing. It looked like he was fighting for it. He was trying to say, I think that the Patriots were having illegal formations. I could read his lips, and it looked like he said something about illegal formation. Almost like, we could stop this, but they're cheating. Like, they can't line up like that, and that's why they're allowed. That's why they're getting these angles on these blocks and blah blah blah. It almost looked like he was begging for help from the officials, and I'm like,
and that's a loser's mentality to me.
The timeouts were used poorly in the second half. They didn't use those correctly at all.
Is there a quarterback that's worse with managing the free play than Josh Allen recently too?
Never. And you can't just. I mean, I get you try to assume
it's like the
that
fourth
it's
time
called,
you didn't really know what was going on with that.
You have to have awareness that it actually got called. You can't just think it should have been called and put your hands up. And then he took that sack. Like, you can't take that sack either. Like, he's at fault too. I mean, he is.
This is a team that becomes unhinged, right? And that goes back to what we wrote, that they have been front runners. If the getting's good, they'll put their foot on your throat and they'll win by 30, like they did the last couple months last season.
It really is amazing.
If they get punched in the jaw, well, they don't really know how to react, and they get unhinged. I mean, think about the AFC Championship game, even against the Chiefs. When things kind of went south, they start throwing punches, right? I mean, it's that big brawl. It's like, where was that aggression when you really needed it? It does speak to the attitude of a team that's embedded into that team, and I don't know how you change it. I think their best bet to win is just throwing it all over the place and relying on Josh Allen, and they're in the playoff picture, but the AFC is cluttered. They could easily miss the playoffs now when you look at their schedule.
So go through this. So that's going to be the next thing, right? That's how Sean's going to, hey, we beat Tampa. We're right. We're fine. And the NFL is like that. I mean, you can erase this game. I'll disagree. Let me take that back. I don't know if you can erase this game because of the way it went down. But
yeah, I don't think
honestly,
you forget. You don't flush this 20. I don't want to hear 24-hour rule. You can say that, but you don't forget this
I'm
in
with
24 hours.
I don't think so either. Knowing you have Tampa and then New England again, correct?
That's right.
So how do you? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what they're about to see next week is insane. They're so banged up trying to stop the run. Guess what? You don't have to next week. They just throw the ball every play anyway.
Leonard Fournette
Now they
looks
may.
really good.
Well, they use Fournette and they'll use him plenty. They may just say the heck with
This might be a Fournette game. I mean, they might just.
It could be.
Why wouldn't
I could see. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you at least try? That's just not their how. I know. I'm just like I'm really. I'm angry. I'm angry because I really misread. I thought I was just going to see a much better team tonight than I saw. And I think McDermott's at fault. I think Josh Allen has to take a little blame on that and I don't think Josh Allen's the issue. I do believe in him as their quarterback, so I don't want to get that crazy, but those are the moments you got,
Yeah. I
so
think
wait,
that he's covered up some
now?
warts too.
Yeah, that's a good way. That could be true.
And those warts are going to be exposed not just down the stretch this season, but into next season, into 2023, when you can't really just spend like they've been spending. I mean, they've been a little frivolous because they've been able to be frivolous with a quarterback on a rookie deal. You can't swing and miss on the Vernon Butlers of the world and spend like they've spent.
Well,
you've got to hit on your draft picks.
I thought the right tackle struggled tonight, Brown. I noticed him giving up a lot of pressures. He's a big. I don't think he's a bad player. I've kind of been impressed. Like, he's a nasty dude. He gets after it. I mean, he's just all over the place. But his pass blocking's got to get better. And Dion hasn't had his best year at left tackle either. The inside, I don't notice those guys as being difference makers, guards and center. I just think like they're just guys. So the O-line is not. I don't think it's horrible. I just don't think it's a difference maker for them. I'm kind of trying to think, like, where is this team going to go? What happens if they don't make the playoffs?
I know.
So their next
because
2 weeks.
You can't just go out and start spending guys to fix problems. You don't have that luxury anymore. No,
this is their team. Right. This is their window. We've talked about this. As soon as you lock up Josh, last year you officially went on the window clock. And hey, you made it to the AFC Championship. You lock up the quarterback, and year 2 after you make the AFC Championship, you don't make the playoffs. That as a possibility. You need to have some answers.
You have to think, okay, like what works, what's sustainable, what's going to stick long term. I think the Josh Allen debate isn't. I mean, we can nitpick and there's problems and he's got to rise above, but he's the starting quarterback. They've got their quarterback.
I don't think I agree. I don't think he's the issue.
Stephon Diggs is going to be interesting though, Jim. I mean, he's going to want more money at some point, and that some point could be this offseason.
Now,
so good.
As good as he is,
just give him what he wants.
He should have caught that one touch. I mean, that was a hell of a throw. Wasn't the easiest catch considering the conditions and tracking the ball. I'm sure it was hard in that wind. But that was a perfectly thrown ball for a touchdown that he dropped. So, I mean, we can place some blame on guys, other than just the defense and Josh. I mean, Diggs should have caught that ball. I know. I'm just trying to go through it right now. It's funny to do a game after
I feel your anger, Jim, because it's like, a long time ago, I really. I was a fan growing up of the Packers, believe it or not, here in Western New York.
Same,
and I was
too.
About.
We thought, yeah.
But you lose that fandom. I lost it
right.
a long time ago.
Right.
Root for the story, not the team, all that stuff. But I do feel for friends and family, everybody. I feel for the region here in Western New York, and you've lived here now for quite some time.
Oh,
I mean, you were entrusted as somebody to bring these people joy for 5 years.
Willie and I used to take so much kind of pride in like thinking can you imagine seeing this city, just like it was last year, really? Unfortunately, it was during the craziness, but with the pandemic. But to just see this city alive with the team competing for the AFC Championship and Super Bowl every year, and that's what fans deserve. And this isn't good. This is a step back. I don't know. This is gonna be fascinating. The rest of the what their schedule goes: Tampa, New England. So what are they right now? 7-5.
Mm-hmm. I'll pull it up here. It should be at the tip of my tongue, but
My man, Mike Lindsley, he just put on Twitter, Josh Allen was awful tonight.
I do like
I
Mike.
do his pod.
He listens to our podcast regularly. He's a great guy.
Yeah, I like Mike a lot. I really respect his opinion. I'm going to have to text him and see what he said. He's awful tonight. I don't know about awful. But
we should bring Mike on to talk about it because he'll listen to this first thing.
Yeah, we get Mike on there.
Also, I haven't told you this privately, but he invited us to a St. Bonaventure basketball game.
So when I did his pod the other day, he said something to me. I said, I'm taking you up on that. I would love to go see them play.
We're answering Mike publicly on the podcast. I had told him I'd get back to him. I just got to check with the kids. As you know, 2 years old, 5 months old.
Tyler,
lot of Grinch in this household lately. A lot of Grinch.
Mike's in the same situation. Trust me, we talked about it. It's hard to do. He wanted to go to that Charleston basketball tournament to see the Bonnies, and he's like, can't happen. I said, I get it. It's hard to do anything.
I tell you what, Mike hustles his ass off. He does a great job. Everybody follow
Great
Mike
job.
Lindsay.
So that would be fun. Yeah, he does. I would love to hear his opinion. We got to get him on about this game. This one is.
I appreciate the bold take. You know what? I'm taking a different opinion on that. I like him putting that out there. All right, I have the schedule right now. At Tampa. Home against Carolina. Carolina's kind of falling apart.
Oh, they go Tampa, Carolina. Okay.
Yes. Then it's at New England. And then you have Atlanta and the Jets both at home. So
the Atlanta none of those games are going to be easy. None of them. I don't think there's an easy win in that bunch. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't.
The Jets?
Let's just see where that game. That's the last game of the year.
It could be ripe with Super Bowl implications, really.
You got to remember, you're dealing with a first-year head coach that they're always going to be. I don't know. The NFL is crazy. I don't necessarily just throw away teams. Carolina's defense is real. I mean, they are going to get that defense is nasty, like nasty. I don't know what they're doing. Because they fired Joe Brady, the offense coordinator. The whole Cam Newton thing. I told everybody that was embarrassing. That was the worst. The front office, the head coach, they all need to be held accountable for that. Just play PJ Walker and see what you got. And he's not good enough either. But
I thought it was like a joke almost when out of that first Cam game, when they beat Arizona and he had a couple touchdowns or whatever. I just assumed him. I had PJ Walker's the starter. Like this will be Cam Newton's role. He'll just be like a gimmicky, sideshow. And then they just started him.
I don't know how that gets done. And maybe that was the thing. We don't know. Did Joe Brady push that? I don't know. But anyway,
you wonder,
I don't see any
fired at this time. It's strange.
Strange, very strange. He'll be the OC for one of these ridiculous college things that are going on. What was I going to say? I just don't see an easy win coming here. Tampa. You're saying it's Tampa, Carolina, New England. You got to get two of those.
Yeah.
What do you have to get? What do the Bills have to get to? 10. They got to get 3 out of these last
5.
You got Atlanta and the Jets. If you're counting that as 2, I don't think the Atlanta game is going to be easy at all. At all. I don't.
Why?
I don't think the Bills are playing well enough to have easy wins.
Yeah, that's a great point. They're not playing well.
That Atlanta team fights, man. They just went toe to toe. They gave Tampa everything they could want. I mean, they really did. That team isn't. I've just watched them enough this year. They're not. I'm not saying they're a good team. They're horrible on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bills' offense hasn't shown like they can expose anybody right now. Remember last year how it was just like 30 points was like a given. It felt like
that. Because they were rolling, right? Like they had I really do believe in momentum. When things are going good, it just kind of rolls one play to the next, one drive to the next, one game to the next. And nobody had an answer. And Josh Allen's kind of backyard footballing it. The defense is forcing some turnovers. And I think that people look at the numbers from 2020 and they put them up there with 2021 and they say, oh, they're so similar for this offense. No, it's not similar because they're
Not
running those
similar.
numbers up against shit teams, right? I mean,
Not
they had
similar.
games this season when they're blowing teams out, but when they actually play a good football team, when somebody actually says, this is a real game, let's go 12 rounds, the Bills
I'm with
struggle.
you. I'm with you. I can't think of much. They have some. I mean, and they know it too. I mean, they're and the NFL is crazy enough that yes, can you go to Tampa and win this week? Sure you can. That's the
They could,
NFL, but
right?
they could. I mean, that's the NFL. I'm the biggest. Yes, can they win this week? Sure. Short week, go to Tampa, get away from the weather, get away from the heartbreak of what you just let down. Not, I won't say you let down the city, but you did. I think about those fans that were out there all day in that weather to watch that,
No.
to see that. That's amazing. I am. I'm not just talking about my anger because it was a bad bet by me. It's just I'm angry thinking like I'm putting myself in Bean's position in the front office, and you have those meetings. Not right. You go in tonight. It's Bean, the Pagulas, and McDermott. Small circle, right? And it's that's an embarrassing one for Sean. I'm serious. I really do think that's one where Sean's going to have to almost, like we used to say, it's like going to the principal's office. How do you answer to like, they didn't throw the ball, Sean. They didn't throw the football and we lost.
What is your most memorable post-game small circle shindig with Terry Pagula from your run with the Bills?
The one that really stands out was Baltimore. I think it might have been the first game of the year.
Yeah.
And we look like dog shit on offense.
2016, year 2 with Rex, right?
Yes. And it was what the hell was that on offense type game? And it was Terry was pissed. Terry was pissed. And I just remember like this is the first time that I was in a meeting with an owner where I'm like, I was witnessing how a firing is about to happen. Like I knew Greg Roman was done that game. Because Rex wanted Roman out anyway. Rex had,
Yeah,
Rex,
he didn't hire
I don't
him.
think, yeah, he didn't really want Roman. That was a deal. That was like a nice little, hey, we'll hire you as head coach. Terry liked Roman. Hey, can you have, Terry wanted Roman, was pissed at Roman. And its defense was still like, there was so, if you remember those years, the defense always was a mess, right? Like confusion. And we've talked, Preston Brown talked to you about it. And right. And it was like, that was the first time. I'm like, I'm like, wow, this is how it works. Like, I knew things weren't right. I was like, so that meeting I'll never forget. Actually, I remember we went to, we ended up going to 716 upstairs.
Did you really? That room up above?
Yeah, we used to go up there, because we went up there that night a little bit. And wait, was it 716 or was that or did we hide at I'm trying to remember, but anyway, I think it was 716. But anyway, I just remember this is how it goes down. Yeah. I was like, this is going to be, we're going to have a firing this year.
It was an ugly game. I mean, 13-7 Ravens. You guys, Tyrod Taylor, 15-22 for 101 yards.
It was, we had too much talent to look that bad.
Yeah.
That's how it was felt. That's how we talked. That's how Terry felt. That's how we felt. And honestly, that's probably how, this is where the front office and head coach this is where it gets dicey. Nights like tonight, where Bean Bean is probably like, no, we have good enough players. Like, our guys are good enough. And Sean might be like, I don't know. Like, I don't like these offensive linemen. We can't run the ball because of them. And I'm throwing it out there. Like, that's how it goes.
No, that's how. I mean, as a reporter, it always fascinates me. A team like a team kind of in the middle that's always like the Vikings. Well, that's a bad example because they really should blow it up. But if you're 7-9, 8-8, like and 9-7, and sneaking in here into the play, like that's not a fun team to cover. Usually, one extreme or the other can be fun to cover. But anyways, like just on the beat, when things start to go south, you can kind of sense it. Like people are looking for the life rafts and the lifeboats and looking out for themselves. And that's been the case in Buffalo, throughout the 17-year playoff drought.
Right.
And I mean, you lived it. I mean, you saw
I
that world.
I saw Marrone. Marrone told Terry Pagula, it's either get rid of us or I'm out. And Terry liked Whaley and had just met Whaley and had heard good things about Doug Whaley from Bill Cowher. And Terry, was a Steeler, liked the whole Steeler foundation. And that was my, so that was the first time I was like, wow, man, that was just
I don't know if people know that.
Oh yeah.
That's how it went down.
There's no doubt. Marrone had that clause in his contract that he knew he could walk away and get paid. So his thing was, hey, I'll stay. I want to coach this team, but I don't like this. I don't want Whaley.
Man, this right away. Was it right away? How soon into that partnership?
Oh, I can remember at the Christmas party seeing it was uncomfortable. Like it was like Marrone was talking to Terry a lot. And I remember thinking, this is awkward right now. Cause things had already gotten bad with us and Marrone at that point. And
the Christmas
I knew
party before he left.
Before he left. Cause he left, I think it was like that New Year's
Eve.
New Year's Day.
Yeah. I can remember living in Green Bay. I was
New Year's Eve. That's right.
With the ex at the time. I was like, you all know where you were when Doug Marrone quit.
Yeah. Our whole it was insane. It really was. But it was basically, you guys, I don't want those guys. And Terry he liked Doug. He liked, he wanted to give us a chance. Because he believed, yeah. Oh yeah.
Because Marrone has kind of tried to cloud it in this like mystery. Like he hasn't just come out and talked about it, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I never got a chance to talk to him either, which disappointed me because we had a history with the Saints and but no, he was
what was his problem, you think?
I think it was just the way the communication. I think he felt like he wanted maybe more involved in the personnel issues or personnel moves, transactions, and maybe I think he just wanted more say. And I think the way it was set up was Doug was running all the personnel, Marrone was coaching, and Doug had fun. Doug pretty much had. I don't know that's tricky, but Doug had pretty much final say then. Where when Sean got the job, Sean got final say. Marrone. And that's when really have final say.
All right, when you lose final say.
Oh yeah, I knew that right when Doug told me when we hired him. Like, hey, I'm giving up control. I looked at Doug. I was like, we're out. But yeah, that's how this is how it happens though. And I don't know about Bean and Sean. Obviously they have a long history of working together, but this is how the tension starts. Is he going to try to, is he going to be a hot name for interviews now? This is all the stuff that happens like this time of year. Like
the music's playing and you got to find your chair,
Yes. Everybody starts. That's a great way to say it. I've seen it. Everybody starts politicking. It wasn't the offense's fault. It wasn't the defense's fault. Our draft picks are good. No, they aren't good. It goes down that way. It goes down that way.
I always thought just obviously we're buddies now at this point and doing a podcast, but long before we knew each other on this level at all, we didn't know each other when I was covering the team.
No,
in 2015. I really thought the talent was there. I thought this was a roster just like loaded with talent, and that Rex was
I,
screwing it up. I talked to those
I
defensive players. Screwed
yeah,
up is a little hard. It's a little harsh.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was a competitive
yeah.
team, but it was a defense that had talent, and you could just tell in those conversations with those players, they did not want this complicated system. They just wanted to play. And if I'm like in the front office and I'm finding these players and I'm drafting them and signing them to just play football, I want them to just play. I don't want them to think too much out there.
I
I
mean,
felt for you. I felt for you and Doug there in 2015, anyways.
The best way I can sum it up is I always felt like we did a nice job of drafting and signing talent. I don't think we did a good job of putting a great team together. And I do think we were a little handcuffed on the circus we had of new coach every 2 years, new system. I mean, we go from 4-3 Jim Shorts to I still don't even know what defense we ran with Rex. But you know what I'm saying? Those things, that doesn't happen. Like the good teams, the Saints run the same defense for the last 15 years. The Patriots are running the same person. You know what I mean? That's how you draft. That's how you consistently draft and sign the right guys when you stay with the same and you start switching coaches in and out. Greg Roman doesn't want Tyrod, wants Matt Castle, blah, blah, blah. It was like one thing after the next, your head explodes. Like it's maddening. It is. And that's why it'll be interesting to see if, okay, go worst case scenario, Bills don't make the playoffs. Is there a scapegoat? Is there a firing? I don't know if Sean does that. Sean felt like he was a scapegoat in Philly when Andy Reid fired him.
That's a great question. Would he make some? I mean, we saw the first, if you want to call it that, the first semi scapegoat is a Go Long Co podcast host, Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, he has the fumble at the end of the first half against the Indianapolis Colts. Joe DiBiase at WGR had the statistic. I don't have it right in front of me. I think it was like 133 touches since his
without
last fumble before. Like he's gone. Like, okay, he's misjudged the ball. There was that one case of that. I think he muffed one and recovered it. But other than that, he's right up there with the best returners in the game. But he has that one mistake, benched, done. His career with Buffalo, there's a good chance it's over. And
you would think
you have some more shows of the
at
Isaiah McKenzie shows. Hopefully we can deliver those for you and go along. But that seemed to be the first, in this game of the blame game, the scapegoat game. Okay, you just get thumped by the Colts, and they just kind of made him out to be publicly that this was the issue. We got to get rid of these turnovers. Isaiah McKenzie's benched. All right, what's next? And there's always a what's next when things go south with a team, isn't it?
That's what they're going through. And that's why I keep saying I've been there. I know that you're going through every guy. Whose fault is it? I know Sean will be the lone voice in the media this week, and you're going to hear the same stuff like you said, right? Hey,
the damn media.
Right. But Sean will say it. I need to do a better job. Those players need to do a better job. The assistant coaches need to do a better job. I mean, I get it. He'll say all that. Andy Reid used to do all that too. But inside, it's not like that. Like you have to be answerable to Terry. As far as what happened, like how do we fix this? And they have Tampa and this schedule, these next 3 games are going to be, I don't think Carolina is going to be an easy game for them. I don't. That defense, whenever you go against, when I tell you Carolina has a legit NFL playoff defense, that means they're in every game, right? Because those guys play hard as hell. So you want to talk about physical? Wait till you see Carolina's defense. We're going to see how tough Buffalo's.
I didn't really realize that about Carolina.
Oh, they're nasty. Off the edge, Shaq Thompson will blow you up. Their secondary, physical, size, ball skills. Their defense is that good. That's why Matt Rule's pissed off at Joe Brady probably, or whatever happened, because they have that good. Just like when we were when those years with Jim Schwartz, and we had a playoff defense and couldn't get there. So. Right. I'm just telling you, you're going to see it in 2 weeks. They are nasty. They're one of my favorite defenses I watch every week on tape. Hassan Reddick is an animal and burns off the edge. Like,
I was shocked that he didn't get more love in free agency. Hassan Reddick.
shocked. Steal.
Yeah.
Steal.
There's no gimmies. I mean, you're right. The way they're playing
That's all
right
I'm
now,
saying. Yep.
there's no gimmies. And
Not these next 3 games for sure. Because you don't want to lose all 3 of these, right? Because then what? I mean, you might lose. If you lose all 3, the good thing is you're playing 2 NFC teams. So tiebreaker wise, if you're starting to get into those scenarios where the NFC losses won't crush you if you're in tiebreakers.
what's your solution? Is there a solution? Like, what would you do if you are Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and you're trying to
they need to find a way to, this thing needs to get opened up on offense. Tonight might have not been the night to do it. But what made them so special last year was just it felt like every drive there was a big play coming somewhere, somehow. And they need to scheme up, and you can scheme those plays up where, hey, we're taking a shot. You scheme your first 10 plays, you can scheme those up. Let's get some shots down the field. Hey, everybody wants to run the ball, screw it. Accept who you are right now and use your quarterback that you paid all the money to. You have one of the best receivers in the NFL. Put it on them. That's who's getting paid.
I agree. I totally agree. You just have to lean into what you are. What are you going to do? Go out and draft an entirely different team of ass kickers?
No,
you can't do that.
No, you're not. And you're not. You're not. This is what you got.
This is what you got. You have to.
And Tampa's secondary sucks. Let me take that back.
True.
They don't suck, but they're not the strength of that team. They struggle.
They've been banged up. They haven't been good.
Banged up injuries for sure. Yeah. So you can expose that secondary, and you're not going to run the ball against Tampa. We've seen how many teams Dallas didn't even try to do it.
The Colts didn't try to do it. Jonathan Taylor.
Colts couldn't do it.
Geez.
The Colts couldn't do it.
They
got
threw
embarrassed.
It for how many plays in a row? Like 24, 25?
They couldn't do it. Frank Reich said it. It's not. Think about that.
So it could be just a total shootout, right? It could be.
Could be a total shootout, no doubt.
Well, if you're not a Bills fan and you made it to this point, we thank you.
I mean, I think there was some good stuff right there. I mean, we got some good. I know we didn't ever talk about that Marrone thing.
I don't think people really know. I don't think they know that Marrone hasn't really. I mean, he just quits and then doesn't really give a reason why. But it was just a personality disagreement or a power struggle.
Power struggle. He had the out. He had that out, so he could make a power move and not. It was. I mean, the deal he struck was insanely good. Smart by him.
That clause really shouldn't be in that deal. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Bingo.
But it was. He quit.
They were desperate to get him. I mean, it was a whale. I should get Whaley on and talk about those stories too. Where
gotta do that. I could have helped you out. I covered him at Syracuse, and it was quite some time. Yeah. It wasn't.
Marrone. He didn't just jump it. They wanted him, but he didn't just jump. He wanted certain things, and I think that was a big part of it. That part of the contract, like.
He had a nice agent working for him, right? That's quite
Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah.
Sexton, Saban, Bill O'Brien. That's why they're all together down in Alabama now. That's how it works. Rex has the same agent.
It's remarkable how that hype machine can get building. I always wonder, how does it start and how does it build? Like at some point, Doug Marrone was hailed as a genius. And look, Jacksonville getting to the AFC Championship game, that was impressive. I'll give that was wild. Outside of that, what does he accomplish?
Doug Marrone's a good football coach. I believe that. As a head coach, I don't know. The players weren't necessarily just feeling, that you want to. I'm Sammy. I know Sammy said some stuff before about. He's like, wouldn't even talk to me by my first name. Wouldn't even talk to me. Like, There was strange things that Marrone would do that didn't make players want to, go crazy and play for that guy.
I forgot about that. Yeah, year one of Rex, guys in droves could not wait to say how liberated they felt with Rex, like to be
Yeah.
themselves.
And
They
it
couldn't
was
be
for us
themselves
too.
with Doug Marrone.
It was fun for us too. We enjoyed Rex was fun because Rex, he wanted to take chance. He was cool when we wanted to sign Logan Thomas, and he wanted to play the draft picks. I mean, he was into the young guys, and that was awesome for us. We had a great time. I mean, we really thought we were heading in the right direction, but it was just the chaos on defense, and then it just got to that point where you start who's to blame.
And Bills fans that listen to this are thinking, "Oh my God, I hope that this doesn't go back to that chaos at some point."
And it might not. And I don't think it will. I really don't. I don't think it will. I'm just saying this is how it starts. This is how I've seen it happen. But these next couple games are gonna. So can you imagine? Oh man, I gotta stop talking. I'm just.
Keep
Can
going.
you imagine losing? Can you imagine losing to Tampa and Carolina? Then you go to New England for your season's on the line at that point.
They're gonna have to reopen Tempo downtown Buffalo and have those meetings there. Get some ribeyes going.
Maybe Terry will hire me back if he fires everybody.
Hey, you know what? That sounds like a pretty good solution to me. I'd lose a podcast co-host, but
I don't even think I'd want any part of it. But that would never happen anyway. But.
Well, GM Jim Monis.
Anyway.
Okay, so your GM, who you bringing in as your head coach?
Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
Hell yeah.
Not Jim Tressel.
Fun. Tressel turned us down. He's too honorable. I'd call him again.
Maybe the second time around he wouldn't.
If I could call him again and say, "Hey, coach, you can be the head guy. We're going to get Lane as the offensive coordinator and Schwartz as the defensive coordinator, and let's roll."
You still believe in Lane Kiffin. He is a brilliant offensive mind, capable of putting up 30, 40 points a game in the NFL.
I need to know. I would just need to know who he'd hire as the DC.
I like it.
And I'd be good with it.
I like it.
I love his whole attitude. Outside the box, innovative. I've seen what he's done with bum players in college. He's gotten them drafted all over the place. I have a lot of respect. I love him. You can't
judge his Raiders career at all.
Don't even throw that out. That was a nightmare. And he did not want Russell.
I was going to say, if you want to take over the Bills, maybe you don't draft the Jamarcus Russell then after that Kiffin hire.
No, I mean, they don't have. The thing is, you have the quarterback in place.
You have the quarterback. Yeah.
No, Dable, come on. It's going to be fun to see. This next couple of weeks now, or this Tampa game is going to be.
It's a big one.
Fascinating.
I mean, it's huge.
Because you lose this one, now it's okay. You're 7-6. Wow.
You could win it and be injected with this
all of a sudden,
newfound confidence.
All of a sudden, think about that. 7-6, end of the world. It's not gonna be, but you know what I mean. It's gonna be like, my God, they're not gonna make the playoffs. Or you win it and you're a favorite to we can win the Super Bowl again. That's how it's gonna go.
What the Bills do have going in their favor is what's going on elsewhere in the conference. Like the Ravens did not look good against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, bad. They can't play like that and win. They're bad on defense.
I mean, they've lost so many players too.
So many players. I don't know how they're going to do it in the second year, but Lamar is ridiculously bad right now.
New England
his
obviously
last two
looks,
games.
But there isn't a clear-cut contender.
I don't know what I saw tonight. I don't even know how to judge New England. I was really excited to see Mac Jones go against McDermott, and I didn't get to see it. So.
Well, I think the Cleveland Browns are still hovering there at 6-6 with Wyatt Teller.
Don't count them out either. I'm telling you, don't count them out.
I'm not. I like the timing of their bye. Baker Mayfield gets healthier.
If he's got to play better.
But they are like New England. They're going to run.
Tyler, 100% agree with you.
They've got special players on defense, and Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward.
100%. I'm with you. The Browns I would not count out.
And the Bengals, what
if they
Joe
were
Burrow
2 plays
dealing
away
with his
the other
pinky
day,
now
that'll be interesting. But man, did he play? that was
Oh,
perfect
he was
timing on
fantastic.
the old school
Yeah.
quarterback. He did perfect timing. Gets hurt. Jamar Chase screwed them on that drop touchdown, and then Mixon had that crazy fumble out of nowhere.
Oh. What do you think? Should we sign off? It's
Mix-
almost 1 a.m.
Sorry, man. I was too excited.
I could go
I
on
was
for
too
hours.
fired
I
up.
think everybody just wants to hear Marrone stories, you know. Maybe we just
We'll
kind
get back into that after the season. We have more. We can always talk.
Can we bring
Marrone.
Doug on and talk about, like, are there any epic fights that he had with Doug Marrone that we can kind of relive
Well, we
and
had
reenact?
the epic one. We could get Doug on and talk about that. When I got
Ooh,
blamed in the media for it, you Google it, it still comes up.
what was that?
We'll talk about it. Oh, it's yeah. I got set up.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
a little teaser.
Doug Marrone, Jim Monis. It comes right
All
up
right.
still. And it wasn't
Sweet.
us. It was Marrone.
Oh, that's
Whaley.
right. Yeah, Buffalo tension boils over in shouting match for Marrone.
The shouting match was Marrone yelling at Whaley and Russ Brand.
Huh. Okay.
And everybody heard it. I wasn't even involved in it. I wasn't even near it. And they just I know how it works. I know who did it. They leaked it to the media that it was me to take the pressure off and blah, blah, blah.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice how that works, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Did you
I learned that too.
Did you fall on a sword? Like, is there
yes,
an actual act of falling on the sword? Yeah.
That one I was like, that's fine. We didn't argue. I wasn't even there. I literally wasn't there.
It's great being self-employed and just kind of running your own company. I mean, earlier today, Edmund had mud on his paws, you know, and we had to clean those off. But, you know, he went right back to work. It was fine.
I thought that was funny. You put on Twitter. He wanted no part of that weather today.
He wanted nothing. Oh, it was brutal out here. All right. We're staggering to the finish line here. That's enough.
Sorry.
We'll dust off that story though for
we can't do these pods after I lost a bet. That's what happens. I get angry.
I like it. No, this is the perfect time to do these podcasts when you're all worked
up
and pissed off.
Might be. And plenty of Hamburg beer in me right now too.
Yes, we're brought to you by Hamburg Brewing Company, and we will be back there. We're going there this week for our next podcast.
Tyler, can we please go there? Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Thanks for listening, everyone. We appreciate it.